One day, Euphegenia, Gerald, and Blue Cow went to the seaside with their Auntie Florence. Obviously.
They got the bus and met their Auntie Florence at the seaside.
The seaside.
The side of the sea. And they brought with them some hammocks.
Some trees for the hammocks.
A bucket and spade.
A pie.
And their swimming costumes. Not to mention some sunscreen for Blue Cow, who gets terribly crispy in the sun.
Crispy beef. So they arrived at the beach, got off the bus, and saw an ice cream van. Quickly, Auntie Florence said, Look, an ice cream van, let's get an ice cream, I want an ice cream. Euphegenia said, Calm down, Auntie Florence. Gerald said, Yes, calm down, Auntie Florence. Blue Cow said, Yes, calm down, Auntie Florence.
But nevertheless, they all stampeded over to the ice cream van.
Auntie Florence was sick in excitement, and she couldn't have an ice cream after that.
So instead, she decided to wear it. She rubbed it nicely on her arm. Oh dear. Until she was nice and cool. She then decided to go for a quick dip, and the others said, Yeah, that sounds like a really good idea. It's awfully hot today.
But, Blue Cow, you have to stay here, said Euphegenia, because as you can see, the bottom of the sea is blue. And you remember what happened at the swimming pool? We don't want a repeat performance. I don't want sick all over me again.
Blue Cow was so sad, she was sick.
She was sick so much that everybody on the beach was coated in sick, and the sea turned to sick after Blue Cow had been sick. Auntie Florence was launched into the air.
She landed with a smack in a huge pile of sick, but everyone was just like, Hey, we're already covered in sick. Let's go for a swim in the sick.
So, all of them went for a swim in the sick. But unfortunately, Florence fainted again. Blue Cow said, Quick, Gerald, find a stick and prop up Florence.
There were no sticks available on the beach, but they did find a mop and promptly propped her up with a mop. Just as well, for she would have fallen and drowned in a puddle of sick.
A puddle of sick.
Sick.
In the form
of a puddle.
Sick.
Puddle.
Form. So, there we are. She was propped up with a mop, and then everybody decided to go swimming again in the sea.
They were having an amazing time doing the backstroke up and down the beach in a huge pile of sick. But everyone was having such a good time. Eventually, it got too hot to stay in the sick, so they all got out. Eventually, it got too hot in the sick, and they all decided to come out, dry themselves off, and have a look at the pleasure beach.
The pleasure beach.
A beach of pleasure.
Unfortunately, they had to send Auntie Florence home on the soonest bus. She was still covered in sick, and she had a mop attached to her back because she had become very sticky from coating her body with ice cream that she could not consume.
Unfortunately, she did get on the wrong bus, and we're not quite sure where she is to this day. I'm sure she'll turn up, children. It'll all be fine.
The pleasure beach.
The beach of pleasure.
So here we are, said Gerald to Florence and Blue Cow. Blue Cow, of course, was covered in sick, just like the rest of them, because it was her who had been sick all over the beach.
And Florence had in fact been sent home on the bus. And Euphegenia, who was so coated in sick, she actually resembled her auntie, got easily confused.
In fact, Euphegenia was so covered in sick and confused that she was sick due to alcohol consumption the previous morning.
Previously, the other. They got on some rides and started. They went on a roller coaster shaped like a caterpillar, but Blue Cow was getting very frightened at this. She'd never ridden in such an enormous insect.
She was sick immediately after getting off the roller coaster.
All over Gerald. He was not a happy bunny.
In fact, he wasn't even a bunny.
He was just a man covered in sick.
Covered in sick.
Covered in sick.
He was coated in vomit.
But Gerald was like, hey, I'm already covered in sick after swimming in the sick. After Blue Cow was sick the last time, everywhere. So let's just go on another ride. They decided to go on the ghost train.
They were sick on the ghost train.
They were sick everywhere. All over. All the ghosts and the zombies that kept leaping out at them in a very unaffectionate manner.
In fact, the ghosts were emotionally stunted. So much so that they were sick all over Blue Cow's new shorts.
And had to be propped up immediately by mops.
And
Other
stick-like article.
mop-like objects. Oh joy! Oh joy! Yay! It was getting late now, and they thought they should head home. But before they went, they decided to visit the ice cream van again. Unfortunately, Auntie Florence still wasn't with them, as she had actually been lost somewhere on a bus.
Euphegenia asked, "Can I have 3.99s, please?" to the nice ice cream man in the van. To which he replied, "I'm sorry, dear. I don't have any flakes left, but you can have a rather spiffing amount of raspberry sauce instead."
They all said, "Ooh, that would do quite nicely, thank you. I don't really like chocolate anyway." So they all went home for tea and found Auntie Florence in a bus shelter.
Covered in sick due to alcoholic consumption
On the bus.
the previous morning.
On the
Because
bus.
in fact, Gerald, Euphegenia and Blue Cow had been out for more than 24 hours.
Don't do it, children. It's bad.
Good night, children.
Good night, children.
Children.